Now, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So what I'm saying here is that this process is supposed to be very smooth, very accessible, to encourage more Ghanaians to be able to go and register. Because a higher turnout also speaks volume of the democratic system. It also makes us aware that indeed people do have faith in the system that we are practicing. What we were expecting the Electoral Commission to do basically is this: that based on the history of the past, where limited registrations sometimes, okay, are only conducted at the district offices, we saw over the period that chunk of Ghanaians, hundreds of almost thousands of people, line up at various offices just to get the opportunity to register, primarily because it is not accessible at their local joints and at the local communities where they can say, I'm walking 200, 300 meters just to go there and go and register. And also not having enough booths where people can say that, oh, these are 3, 4 booths in my area, and therefore the process is much faster. What the EC should have made us aware, based on history of the past, is to say that, listen, this limited registration, we are expecting, let's say, 2 million people. Out of the 2 million people, we know that every, let's say, Bantama, we are expecting 165,000 people. Maybe Konongo Primary A, we are expecting 40,000 people. You state whatever your expectations are, and then match it with the time that you intend to use to do this registration, so that Ghanaians would be aware, and understand as to whether your timetable is practicable or otherwise. They've kept us in the dark, just like they did in 2020. That got people very frustrated. They go to the centers, long queue, and they will have to turn around and go and do their normal business. Also, the issue of, because there's too much pressure on the system, the machine is faulty, go and come back. All these, technicalities create that frustration that does not encourage or motivate Ghanaians to be able to go out there and do this limited registration. What's the point in lining everybody up at your offices? Why can't you move these desks to the local communities? What is stopping the EC from doing so? Why must it be so expensive all the time? So what it means is that the various political parties, especially the opposition party, would have to look for a means of transportation to the various localities, pick members or sympathizers or well-meaning Ghanaians who intend to partake in the 2024 election to go and join the queue. This is extra cost on these political parties. Beyond that, you have to feed these people that you pick. You take them to the various centers, and sometimes you have to give them a little stipend to take back home because they have to stop whatever work they are doing just to go and do this particular process. This is not fair. This is not a win for the Electoral Commission. This is not a win for our democracy. So basically what we're saying here is that the Electoral Commission is reneging on its sole responsibility in ensuring that there's accessibility for Ghanaians to partake in the process. And they must be held responsible for anything that happens. What we see today, Senna, basically is telling us something, that they are trying to manipulate the system. They are trying to manipulate the system, and I mean manipulate in terms of figures. We all know that when it comes to election, it's all about figures. And any organization or any political party or any administration that knows how to manipulate figures would have the upper hand. So, for example, if their whole intention is this, that we are expecting 1 million people to register, out of this 1 million people to register, maybe they know that deep down in their heart that maybe the stronghold of the NDC may be able to have an upper hand of, let's say, 600 or 700,000 people to register. They wouldn't want that to happen. So guess what? Let's take this to the district office so that we can put in measures that can slow down the entire thing. At the same time, that can also be more smoother in other areas where they believe that it will be beneficial to the current administration. That is what they are doing. It's an indirect way of disenfranchising Ghanaians, even before the system starts. If that's not the reason, what is stopping the Electoral Commission from taking their boxes or their boots to the local communities for people to register? What is going to be the end goal? And I heard the deputy electoral commissioner, Bossman, saying that voting is not by force. Senna, this is the mindset of the commissioners. This is the mindset of the commissioners. They don't have that sense of responsibility. They are in their luxury moment. They are not encouraging Ghanaians. As part of their duties is also to create the awareness on the importance for Ghanaians to take part in this process. But here you have a commissioner who thinks that, you know what, it is not by force. If you can't come, go away. Who cares? How can you run an effective system with persons with such mindset? How can you say you are very democratic, you are very progressive, when you have individuals in there who do not even show that commitment when it comes to partaking in the process? So, Senna, in a nutshell, the fact that it is not providing that accessibility basically means that it's an indirect form of disenfranchising Ghanaians before 2024.
And you're saying that the political parties will bear the cost of ensuring that as many of their constituents are as qualified register. But the political parties haven't made that point strong enough. Do you think the political parties have spoken against this strongly enough to deter the Electoral Commission from imposing this extra cost on them?
Well, Senna, I think that there's room for improvement. I think that the political parties would have to drum it, much harder. I know ex-President President Mahama has spoken about it. I know the NDC has equally dancing, and other minority parties. Beyond that, I know that they've taken the case to court as well, which is part of the process, of ensuring that justice is served. But beyond that, there has to be more and more advocacy, more and more awareness about this particular decision by the Electoral Commission, especially on the effect on our democratic dispensation. So they have to drum it much harder and rally the people. You see, Senna, the challenge that some of us seem to have is the fact that we are unable to rally the people. The essence of our existence as a political party is to be able to rally the people, to be able to sell your vision, your agenda, explain thoroughly for them to buy into it so that they can own whatever agenda there is and then take action even on your behalf as a political party. So maybe I think that is where the NDC and other minority parties would have to explore more. How do we rally the people to understand what is going on? How do we rally the people to give them a pushback, for them to express their displeasure with what the Electoral Commission is doing? If we don't push that hard enough, it will let the institutions feel that, it's a comfortable thing for them to do. No one is going to call on them in terms of accountability, and they can go scot-free. So the political parties would have to push harder enough in terms of rallying Ghanaians to be able to push back on this, useless decision by the Electoral Commission.
You also have the opinion that someone needed to hold the EC accountable, hold them responsible for anything that happens. Who does that?
Excuse me, I lost you a little bit.
You're talking about if this does not go as planned, if many of the people who turn up to register are unable to be registered, the EC needs to be held responsible. And I was asking who you think will have the responsibility of ensuring that the EC is held responsible for his actions.
I think that here you have to call on the civil society groups, the various political parties, and all well-meaning Ghanaians, to call on the Electoral Commission to begin to listen and create that platform for Ghanaians to be able to exercise their rights. I know sometimes they do it and they will say that they're extending the time based on the numbers that are coming in, but it still makes no sense. Basically, what it means is that we are not learning, we are not improvising, we are not putting in new measures to make it much better and much easier for people. So what I would call on all stakeholders, especially knowing very well how important the 2024 election is, to pay attention to this and not give the EC the room to do whatever they think that they can do and get away with it. Because the patience of Ghanaians have run out. The patience of Ghanaians have run out. And I don't think that they will condone any form of practice that will seek to disenfranchise them and not allowing them to partake in the 2024 election. So to avoid any tension whatsoever, the various arms of government, including stakeholders such as the Peace Council, the chieftaincy bodies, and the CSOs to partake in this. People need to start speaking out. People need to start speaking out because we know how it will end. We don't need to shed any more blood like what we saw in 2020. So I think it's incumbent on all stakeholders to be able to mount the pressure on the Electoral Commission to do what is appropriate.
And talking about mounting pressure on the Electoral Commission, there's one other aspect to this that's attracting a lot of attention because President Akufo-Addo was yesterday responding to some comments made by former President Mahama on imbalances in the judiciary. The fact that President Akufo-Addo has appointed a lot more judges. What do you make of the suggestions by the former president, first of all? And secondly, the response from President Akufo-Addo is that what the former president is introducing is dangerous. The idea of MPP, NDC judges.
Well, thank you, Senator. You see, what we're seeing today is a deliberate attempt by the current president, President Akufo-Addo, parking his cronies at the court so that they can do their bidding. I believe that in the court of public opinion, this is no news to Ghanaians. In the court of public opinion, they know that the court has been ruling one way. They know that they are called a unanimous FC based on their own actions. The court of public know that the courts, the judicial system that is supposed to serve as the place of justice, is now serving injustice to Ghanaians to a point that even the ordinary Ghanaian who may not even have understanding on how the system works can easily predict that, oh, this case, you know how it's going to go. They've made it that cheap for people to know what the judicial system has become. So now, let's face it. The president has the mandate to do so. However, the application of wisdom is not what we're seeing. If we go back to some of the revelations that has come out, especially with that APPIAH document that leaked, in that document, Senna, it is stated that to be able to control the country even when they are in opposition, they have to pack the courts with their cronies. So that if in the worst case scenario for them, when the next administration comes to office, because they pack the courts with their cronies, that administration will not be able to prosecute them for their criminal activities. So that is what we are seeing here. And you see, they also stated in that particular document that they would have to sponsor people to take positions in certain organizations such as the labor unions, NATS, UTAG, Ghana Medical Association, the Ghana Bar Association, etc., etc. And that is what it is playing out. And in this, and let me quote something from that APPIAH document for you to hear. With regards to Papa Kwesi Ndum, they say what? Papa Kwesi Ndum's Black Shield capital is causing a few trouble, but he can easily be dealt with using a numerical advantage in the judiciary or even his dodgy relationship with the CIA. So in their own documents, they have made it clear that they have to pack or acknowledge the fact that they have the numerical advantage to be able to use the judicial system to abuse other people. So that is what is playing out here. And the president here talking about corruption. Even the devil will not believe him. President Akufo-Addo talking about corruption. This is a president who couldn't even write his own speech. This is a president who couldn't even, indeed, he doesn't even write his own speech. Is this not the same president that was called the serpent of corruption, the mother serpent of corruption, by the former chief prosecutor?
Ghana's gold.
Is this not the same president that how do you call it? He said he was misled when it came to the Ameri deal. Is this not the same president that did the PDS scandal? Is this not the same president that is funding their political activities through Galamsey by destroying our water bodies and our land system? So what gives him the moral authority to even think that he can stand in front of Ghanaians and talk about corruption and claim that his administration has fought corruption or is defeating corruption? That's a fallacy. But can you blame him that much, Senna? The individuals that he was talking to, the people that one thought would have that moral high ground to be able to speak the truth to power, they themselves have been compromised. Look at the Ghana Bar Association president, what he was talking about. I was listening to him. I said, is he showing professionalism here? What is his ethical standards in what he's talking about? He sounds very compromised. He doesn't show leadership. He sounded more like he sat down with President Akufo-Addo. They wrote almost similar speech and they came to read. That's how it sounded like. In any case, if you claim that you are independent on your own, what one would have thought of him was to allay the fears of the concerns raised by ex-President Mahama by saying that I've heard all the concerns, and I can assure every Ghanaian that under my leadership, I will make sure that justice is served, and we will advocate for every Ghanaian in terms of the justice system. But that's not what he did. He took the platform as a political commentator, and he was just ranting, addressing political issues like a politician. So in this instance, what do you think that he did? Helping us to have confidence in the system, or rather telling exactly what President Mahama said, that indeed what he said was right? So we have no confidence in the system. President Akufo-Addo cannot talk about corruption, and therefore I think that he's better off keeping quiet. He's already said that he can't do anything further. He's waiting on somebody to come and help when he leaves office. So he should keep quiet and allow us to breathe.
Arnold, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Mr. Arnold APPIAH is President NDC-PRO-FORUM North America. Now, let's share with you what the president said at the bar conference.